Well, before we get into this big stormy weekend, we have to talk about the times it's raining, the times it's not raining, because Saturday is mostly dry, but the overall impact is really a big deal here for Northern California. The unfortunate downside of this system is that Southern California is basically totally spared from this. So that's a whole other issue separate. But you know what? The big reservoirs are in Northern California. This is at least a place to start. So by the end of this, when you include your Friday, Saturday, Sunday, going into Monday, this is roughly how much rain we're looking at. Now, it could be on the high end of this. Maybe there's moments where it slows down, you're on the low end. This is all very significant, even for the spots that traditionally don't get as much rain as other places like, say, Modesto or sometimes Stockton. You're still going to be looking at significant rain for your areas as well. Once you go up to higher elevations, that's where you see the brighter colors. That's when we're looking at 5+ inches of rain. And in the beginning, it really is rain rather than snow. Now, look at this map. I mean, this is 2 years of lackluster rain and snow. We are in a very serious drought. Almost 50% of the state is in a 5 out of 5, what we call an exceptional drought. That is not good. The only time I've seen this where it was worse was in the big mega drought back in the middle 2010s, in 2014, 15, and part of 16. So what we have to recognize is that this is going to take a while to chip away at, but it's patterns like this that are going to really move it in that direction. And before we get too deep into the next few days, remember, California is all over the place. We remember the dry years lately because that's kind of where we've been, but you know, very quickly you can switch, and if these storms line up and you get many patterns like this, it could be a very wet year. It just all depends on how things line up. The way that you're going to get there is this: atmospheric rivers. Now, you've probably heard a lot about this, but just one more time, that's where you have a big storm in the Pacific. That's step one, but it has to tap into this really wet air all the way down into the subtropics. Sometimes we nickname this, as if it's a warm one, the Pineapple Express, because you could trace it all the way back down toward Hawaii. With that said, this is about 40 to 60% of our rain in California comes from these systems. If you don't get these, you're going to be in a drought. If you get a lot of them, you're going to flood. The one coming in on Sunday, bright yellow, that tells you that we've got a lot of moisture moving into the area. And then we just have to look ahead just in case. Is there anything else? Well, the middle of next week is a little slow. Past Halloween, we might be getting another one of these. So before you ask, let's just get to the big unasked questions. Is this going to end the drought? No. Is it going to flood? In select areas, it can. Flood-prone areas and also recent burn areas are the areas that I'm watching most specifically. But if you have a clogged drain in your neighborhood, yes, it could happen for you. It all depends. Does this mean it's going to be a wet winter? I don't know. This is another La Nina year, and traditionally we tend to see a wet Pacific Northwest and part of far northern California, but we'll have to wait and see how it goes because last year was a La Nina year, and we all know that that didn't really pan out for us locally. It did for the Pacific Northwest. So here's the storm that was moving in through Friday. You can see the next one is just taking shape, and what we're going to be looking at is hour by hour things changing. Now, just getting through the Friday early morning, it was wet, and then clearing into the afternoon. We focus on the burn areas because remember, these are steep canyons that have rock and mudslide issues anyway. You take away the vegetation, the risk goes way up, especially in these high precip events. So things to think about: the heaviest rain is going to be Sunday into Monday. We also have gusty winds, so that creates issues like power outages. It also creates low visibility when you're driving. It creates low visibility in the mountains when it's snowing hard with whiteout conditions. Remember, there's a bunch of impacts. I mean, this is when it's in the next level, folks. We've got rain, wind, a combination of that, some flooding, debris flows, and dangerous driving with power outages. You need to have a plan in place because this is a big one. By the end of Friday, all the spots in Northern California are going to be above average for rain, and then we just keep on going. For the daily forecast on Friday, 50s into the 60s, so it's not going to be terribly cold with this, but the next successive storm is going to get cold at the end, and that's where the big snow shows up early Monday morning. The wind is going to be a big factor as well. Not windy with the first round, but the wind is going to be blowing really strong in the beginning, 20 to 30 miles per hour, and that's going to keep up all day long. So just think about the storms you've been through in your life, where it's raining hard, it's windy, it's just really stormy. That is what's coming on Sunday. So again, we had one nice round on Friday. Friday evening to Saturday morning, I think you're going to be okay. But Saturday evening and starting very early on Sunday, there's not really a window on Sunday, we are going to be looking at this all coming together. Heavy rain all day long. Remember, we have big events like the Ironman in Sacramento. We have the 49er football game in Santa Clara. These are all going to be affected. Even getting to some of these things is going to be affected. And then the mountains, by early Monday morning, it turns into heavy snow. So this is a big storm. We have not seen something like this in October since 2016, 2017, which did end up being a nice big wet year for us. So pay attention to the forecast. It's going to change day by day, hour by hour, but just in general, we have the Friday early morning storm, a bit of a break on Saturday, then by Sunday morning through Monday morning, a big wet storm with lots of impacts, rain, flooding issues, and snow.